Journalists in Somalia are worried. 2 have been arrested in the past 2 weeks. Another prominent journalist for the Voice of America is reportedly facing charges from the National Intelligence and Security Agency, NISA. And a controversial and potentially restrictive media bill only needs the president's signature to take effect. In a February report entitled, "We Live in Perpetual Fear," Amnesty International documents the perilous conditions journalists face. Depros Muchena is Amnesty International's director for East and Southern Africa. Quote, "Somali journalists are under siege. From barely surviving explosive wired cars, being shot, beaten up, and arbitrarily arrested, journalists are working in horrifying conditions. This crackdown on the right to freedom of expression and media freedom is happening with impunity. The authorities hardly investigate or prosecute perpetrators of attacks on journalists." A strong editorial in the Gouveia News published this weekend accuses the federal government of acting like dictators. They say the current administration have put Somali journalists and media houses, quote, "under pressure from the state through arbitrary arrests, intimidation, and trumped-up charges," unquote. The impetus for the column is a case that they allege has been forwarded to the Attorney General's office involving Voice of America journalist Harun Maroof. NISA earlier this month tweeted its investigation of Maroof for, quote, "threats to national security," unquote. The VOA reporter has written a book about the Al-Shabaab. He hosts a program called Investigative Dossier. The program has featured Al-Shabaab defectors, some of whom have accused senior government officials of supporting the terror group. Mukhtar Mohammed, a colleague of Maroof's, was arrested April 21st. He was charged with offense against the authorities by means of damaging information, intimidation of the public, giving false alarm to authorities, publication or circulation of false, exaggerated, or tendentious news capable of disturbing public order. The National Union of Somali Journalists, NUSAJ, tracks these cases. NUSAJ Secretary General Omar Farouk Osman said of Atosh's treatment, quote, "producing him in court without a lawyer, refusing him to defend himself, and swiftly transferring him to the notorious central prison of Baidoa is a mockery, as the trumped-up charges brought against him are noticeably politically motivated," unquote. Atosh was released on bail on April 22nd. On April 14th, Abdi Aziz Ahmed Gouveia, deputy director of the Gouveia Media Group, was arrested. The Attorney General's office lodged a criminal complaint against Gouveia for defamation and false information. They specified his Facebook account as being the platform for his offenses. He had posted comments critical of the government's handling of the coronavirus situation. The Amnesty International report says the government has a special team to monitor social media and threaten journalists unless they remove offending posts. According to the report, quote, Facebook permanently disabled 16 personal accounts, 13 of them belonging to journalists, between 2018 and 2019, reportedly for violating Facebook community standards, unquote. NUSAJ and other journalist support groups have taken up these men's causes. Maroof's case has gotten the attention of the U.S. government. Earlier this week, the U.S. Embassy issued a statement saying that NISA, quote, threatens press freedom and independent media as a foundation of democratic and accountable government in Somalia, unquote. They describe Maroof's work as professional. Somali-born U.S. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has also publicly come out in support of Maroof and Gouveia, issuing a statement Sunday.
The ongoing intimidation campaign by Somalia's National Intelligence and Security Agency against Harun Maroof is deeply disturbing. These attacks, along with the April 14 arrest of Abdi Aziz Ahmed Gouveia for his work covering the impacts of COVID-19 in Somalia, are an unacceptable violation of basic human rights. I call on the Somali government to immediately cease these attacks on the freedom of speech and freedom of press.
Despite the pressure on him, on Saturday, Maroof was reporting on protesters angry with the government. The proposed media law has been passed by both houses of parliament. Journalists have pleaded with President Farmajo not to sign it. The British Parliament has even tabled a motion calling on Farmajo not to sign the bill. Newsaj has described the law as a legal regime that seeks to curtail the rights of journalists, suppress independence of media houses, and forces journalists to reveal its confidential sources. Pressure on the president to scrap the law and get NISA to back off the persecution of journalists is certainly at an all-time high. Amnesty International called out the president by name in their report. President Farmajo must take immediate steps to ensure prompt, thorough, independent, and effective investigations into myriad allegations of violations of human rights and media freedom. Those suspected to be responsible must be brought to justice in fair trials. But recent developments have journalists in Somalia worried that their independence will be curtailed. They are fighting with their voices, their pens, but the government has more dangerous weapons at their disposal.